Right now we see a huge progress in sequencing efforts, being able to sequence entire genomes of cancers, and at a price that is falling to a level that becomes realistically being applied to really a large population. Now, what can we expect how that changes the way we treat patients? Well, first of all, clearly I'm looking forward to look at a lot of data that is emerging out of that, because it will allow us to even better identify populations within, let's say, melanoma tumors or breast tumors that share certain characteristics. We probably can learn from that what most likely their molecular drivers are, and if they are druggable, we will have a huge opportunity to come up with new approaches to treatment. So what I think will happen is we'll get better treatments, we will get safer treatments, but the treatments will be more selective, they will be more niche, there will be smaller groups of patients, and that has some challenges also in terms of conducting clinical trials, challenges in terms of the investment necessary to be made. Remember, today, to develop a drug is a very expensive exercise that is justified mostly because there is at the end a big patient population that you can treat with. But there's going to be that trend to get smaller and smaller. And the costs and the requirements, regulatory requirements at the same time go up. So we have sort of countercurrents that worry me a little bit to really bring to the patients what ideally could be brought to them. So I think we need to have changes, think about changes from a regulatory environment, from a reimbursement environment. What our endpoints need to be, how long and how much money you can spend and afford to spend, and some of these smaller niched indications, and get to answers more quickly. We already see this in Plexxikon, where we now, with new programs, start smaller trials, 10, 20 patients, and not so much for nailing a clear, definitive registrational outcome, but really more for signals rather than setting them up and say, okay, we go into lung cancer because this is a big indication. It is more important for us to show early on in development that we hit the target, that we can establish the concept and how the drug is working. Even that is a small indication, but then later on, once we understood that, can bring it into the broader audience. And I think what we do with Zelboraf is very similar. We have now shown in melanoma how that works. This is now pretty obviously tested in all those other tumors. We don't know the outcomes yet, but there is I would say, I'm positively optimistic as always, otherwise I wouldn't be in this business.